sometime in the fall of the year. Very interesting here. Now, so they studied this melanin thing, and they came to the conclusion on how melanin works. They tried to make the prototype of the melanin. And the prototype of melanin is nanotechnology. Nanotechnology, that's the prototype. They even got some stuff where they study nanomelanin. But we do, nanotechnology is the prototype of how melanin functions. So they studied how melanin functioned, and it ended up in what their version of it, their technological version of what they could create was nanotechnology. So anybody want to see how melanin works, you get the G.I. Joe movie that came out last summer. And that movie explained nanotechnology and what it can do. So apparently what they are afraid of is when this nanotechnology unleashes in those people, those melanated people, the real nanotechnology, they're thinking it's going to be an invasion that will eat the world, about like a movie called Langoliers. Anybody seen the movie Langoliers? It was a movie came out in 1995. It was a Stephen King movie called Langoliers. And these little black dots ate up the earth. You see what I'm saying? I ate up one dimension. It's called the Langoliers. So, but you will see, when you see the nanotechnology in the movie G.I. Joe, is what they are afraid of. And for some reason they're afraid of that coming up out of us, because they do know, based on all the ancient texts, that this world is just going to disappear. Even in the Bible it said, you see what I'm saying, this heaven and this hell will not be around.
Right.
So if hell ain't going to be around, what the hell are you scared of? Hell is only a state of condition, and based on your knowledge of where you are in this world. It can be hell or it can be heaven.
That's correct.
You see?
Yeah.
You see?
Right.
So now, but they say this heaven and earth will not be around. So obviously this thing is going to disappear, and they are afraid. They are afraid that it's going to be this war of destruction with this melanin rising up and doing the nanotechnology. I say that that's just their fear, because they're warfare people, and they always fear that. And why not? I mean, you might as well put it on the table if you figure there's a chance of that happening. But for what we know, it said it'd be gone like a twinkling of an eye. And so for what we know, we're talking about how this thing is going to go down, is basically we're just going to wake up and going to be in another world. You're just going to wake up out of this dream, and this dream going to be gone. Because this is only an illusion anyway. And once the return of the third eye, you understand what I'm saying? At its full aspect, you don't have to have all the destruction and stuff like that. You see them, all the destruction of. You're just going to come forth by day, which is the original book. The Egyptian book of the dead say coming forth by day.
Yes,
You see? So we're just going to wake up, but that's not stopping them. But they still are showing what this melanin could do, which is in the East Indian text, some of the East Indian Kundalini texts, where they say there are devices in the body that will come online and destroy everything if we were threatened for distinction. You see, we were threatened by distinction. That is also reported in the text. It's a book called Kundalini for a New World by Gene Kiefer. And they talk about these devices that they found in these texts in India. There's devices in the body. So naturally that was something that probably could have happened if we were slated for total extinction. So they have to go about and kill us off on other means slowly, and you see what I'm saying, and conspire, you see, to kill us, and do not announce the day of battle. So that's one aspect of it. But what we're talking about here is finding the third eye, where we're just going to wake up and have a whole new existence. There's a book, Finding of the Third Eye, by Vera Stanley Alder, A-L-D-E-R, Vera, V-E-R-A, Stanley, S-T-A-N-L-E-Y, Alder, A-L-D-E-R, a book been out for years. book has been out for years, The Finding of the Third Eye. She has another one called The Fifth Dimension. But what's interesting in this particular book, why this book was always of interest, was, why it was always of interest, she mentions in this book that one day the third eye, the third eyes would open.
Yes.
One day the third eyes will open. That's what we are pointing out. That's why this is very important with this lecture we're doing tonight.
Right.
She mentioned it. Edgar Casey said, well, one day there will be and he did it, but he couldn't understand the metaphysics of it. So he said one day there will be an incarnation of an entity called John Pineal. So he was looking for like a Christ figure. But John Pineal is the pineal gland. You see, and you got John, you got On, you got Elijah, you got Enoch, you got in a line of one before Christ would be Tahuti. So John is translated back into Egyptian as Ta'an or Tahuti. So John Pineal is melanin and the light of the pineal gland, the light of the world. So the entire Christ is the light of the world. In ancient Egypt, the light of the world, or Horus, the light of the world, is none other than the pineal gland.
Right, right.
Now, Moses wrestled with the angel, not Moses, Jacob wrestled with the angel all night. And when morning broke, he saw the face of God called pineal.
Called pineal, yes.
Called pineal. The great face is another name. The great face is another name for Heru, light. Another name for Heru, or the hero. Another name for the hero, where you get the word hero from, is Heru, which is Horus, which is the pineal gland, Eye of Heru. Another name for hero is called the great face, the face of God. The face of God is on the inside of your brain, which is the pineal gland. Now, going right along, we have Osiris is a corn deity. Now they say no one knows, not even Jesus knows when the end, but the Father. Well, Horus don't know what the end until Osiris comes back. Osiris is a corn deity, and the corn deity, the corn deity, they say that the pineal gland is exactly the size of a grain of corn. So we have the deity that Aleister Crowley drew and had it at Greenwich Village in the 1900s, 1919, I think, and a deity called Lamb. And Lamb has the head of a grain of corn. So they took this Lamb deity, put some bigger eyes on it, and they have been dealing with that with the alien thing for years. So the alien mask that you see, all of the bug-eyed things you see with the alien movies, that comes from Aleister Crowley's drawing of Lamb. But they say that Lamb is a part of an extraterrestrial government. But Lamb has a head is shaped like a grain of corn. Lamb is none other than the pineal gland. The extraterrestrial government is the pineal gland. You see, is the pineal gland. So now, going back, everybody, and so when I looked at Vera Stanley Alder's book, I said, well, where did she get this piece from? Was it a thing? Where did she get this piece from that said that the pineal glands were open? Well, she got it from, and some of the notes said, the Rosicrucian Cosmos Conception. There's a book out called the Rosicrucian Cosmos Conception. They just put the book out maybe 3 months ago. They put it back out. It's a book that's from the 1920s. So the Rosicrucian Cosmos Conception is coming from the Rosicrucians. The Rosicrucians also was for the benefactors for a lot of the stuff that the Moors left behind. They compiled all that and started the Rosicrucians also. And one of our people that was also a part of the Rosicrucian was what we call the father of metaphysics, Pascal Beverly Randolph, the black man. It's Pascal Beverly Randolph. So, but anyway, there's a book called The Rosicrucian Cosmos Conception. And that's where they talked about the third eyes coming back in the future. Now, to line this up, we got one last piece where the brother was doing some work on electromagnetism in France. And he ran up on an article of one of the prophecies of Nostradamus that they didn't let out of France, where it said that in the 1990s, black people in America will come into their own. So this is what we need to find out. What was it? We got the knowledge came back, and obviously everybody that's listening, your third eye is online. Otherwise, you wouldn't be, trust me, you would not be listening tonight, so you don't have to worry about this.
Right,
but what we want to find out here is this. What is it that if we're supposed to have more conscious people, and the consciousness did come. It did come. It came late 80s and during the 90s, but compared to the amount of people, when they say black people were going to come into your own, it's almost like a small percentage, like 1 point something. You see, the amount of people is conscious. But what happened to all those thousands of black people or indigenous people that third eye was supposed to come on that was prophesized?
Right.
You see, that was even got a date, in the 1990s. You see, in the 1990s. Even in the book, the guy, Africans and Alien, Africans in Asia, Eugene, can't think of the guy's name. It's called Africans in Asia by Eugene Adams. In his book, he said he gave a date of the future Buddha. He said in future Buddha, he go again, one of the forms of melanin is also called the Buddha Rupa. And he said the future Buddha, which is Maitreya, or also called Kalki, will be hitting the earth around 91. So what happened while all of us was just a few people, but the majority of us are dead? You see what I'm saying? What happened?
Yes.
Well, let me go into a story of one of the guys that brought me into consciousness.
Okay.
And we believe now that this guy, he came to... You all right? How much time we got?
Oh, we are doing wonderful. We have an hour and 32 minutes to go in the form. Yes. Okay, well, we're going to do this 32 minutes, and then we're going to, we'll probably do a question and answer, but let me just go with this. Yes.
The guy that brought me into consciousness, because the spirit world said they had to work around the clock to get me out of the shoe industry, to get me out of the art and stuff like that. And the guy that ultimately brought me into consciousness is a brother by the name of Maddox Moore. Now, when Maddox Moore was bringing me into consciousness, I saw Maddox Moore 20 years later, and he was in Chicago working on Barack Obama's campaign. Now, Maddox Moore is a guy that came to college, and for some reason he would never graduate. So he got to Clark, Atlanta. It was called Clark College at that time. He got to Clark College at that time, somewhere in the early 1970s. By the time I met him in 86, he was still in college. He would work, he'd go to school, he'd get other majors. He'd either go get his master's at Atlanta University, the neighboring school, but he would always stay on campus. And what Maddox, we found out, was he was an angel. He was an angel there to help students at a certain date, and sometimes to help students gain their consciousness. I know this for a fact now.
Yeah.
All these years, the Maddox Moore was an angelic being that came there, and also anyway, Maddox Moore used to travel around the world with Jesse Jackson back in the day. So now, he said Jesse told him something, because I said, Maddox, you ain't got no fro like the fro from the 70s, but you do keep a little bit of hair on your head. And this was like 1988.
Right.
He said, well, I need to tell you this story. What Jesse Jackson said, that the number one thing that the United States government did in the 1970s was one thing. They say, we have got to get rid of that afro. They say, we got to get rid of that afro. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what they, and also, they first introduced the Jerry curl.
Yes.
But that didn't work, because the damn Jerry curl started working for niggas. A nigga could get a Jerry curl. A woman could be bald-headed and get the damn Jerry curl, and that old goddamn, that old drip shit, that activator make her hair grow down the damn street.
Yes.
You remember how people get that activator, put that activator on, and the motherfucker hair just grow like crazy. So that shit didn't work. Just made us look ridiculous. But